Hi everyone, I'm James Haskell and this is the Voice of Defiance. I think for me, never conforming and always evolving is basically the DNA to everything I've ever done. You know, I think embracing life, because you only have one of them. I apologise if you think you're going to come back as a flamingo or there's an afterlife, but I'm pretty sure this is all you're going to get. And you have to maximise it and embrace it, and everything's an opportunity. And you're either looking to be better, you're looking to enjoy it, you're looking to thrive and not worry about what people say, or you're trying to conform, you'll never leave the house, you're always being, instructed by others. And I think evolution is what life's all about. Can you always be better? There are always ways of improving in every single area of your life, whether that's the way you look, how hard you work, the way you talk to people, the way you put yourself forward, what you're like as a parent. All of that is part of evolution, and that's what we try to do every day, is be better. For me, it was never about trying to be defiant or trying to be outspoken. I think three things or four things you can control in life: how hard you work, how you treat your body, how you treat your mind, and how you treat other people. And everything I do is about those areas. And I think through that you become defiant, because you are just worried about yourself. You are putting yourself first in terms of how much you improve. You're not buying into what other people are telling you. When you have an opinion, you believe forthrightly in something, you will put that out there. And I think through that, you become defiant, because if you don't conform, it upsets other people. If you do what's unexpected, it rattles people. If you're constantly looking to improve and you're outspoken, you've got a character and you're living life to the full, that can be defiant. And someone told me a great quote once, that the best revenge is living well. And for me, that's everything I do. While others are worried about themselves or worried about what I'm doing, I'm out there chipping away at it, I think for me, one way I've defied the odds was the fact that I ended up becoming a professional sportsman when I was probably not the most talented person in the world. That I've ultimately gone into different areas of my life from sport. So going to play for England was probably against the odds. Becoming a British and Irish Lion was against the odds. Translating that into becoming an MMA fighter against what people told me not to do. Building a music career under Haskell, having 25, 26 releases out when this comes about. Becoming a stand-up comedian and doing that on a sellout tour. And I think for me, all of those things are an act of kind of defiance against what people told you can do. Some person or people should only be able to do one thing, and I've been able to do it across multiple platforms. And it sounds self-aggrandizing talking it up, but I truly believe life's for living. And so I always wanted to be that one person in the room that had given it the best possible go and had stories to tell on every single area. And I'm still chipping away at it now, The hardest choice I've had to make, I think for me ever, was retiring. Most people say that the three hardest things in life are losing someone, divorce, and retirement. And as a 35-year-old man who was defined by what he did for a long period of time, from 17 to 35, I was a rugby player, I was James Haskell, a rugby player. That's how I saw myself, that's how other people saw me. I had to put my hand up and say, I can't do this anymore, I can't perform. Emotionally, it's very difficult. In the prime of most people's lives, I had to restart again. And while I had planned ahead, and while I had been defiant in doing other things when people told me not to, and built a music career, and built, and written books and whatever else I'd done, and set up podcasts and production companies, I'd done all this stuff, but nothing's guaranteed. And so that tough decision to turn around to your friends, to your family, to your teammates, and to yourself, more importantly, and say, I can't do this, and start fresh and wake up the next day not being James Haskell that everyone remembers is pretty tough. The lesson I live by was something that my dad told me when I was very young, and he said, you can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself. And in the world of social media, where you can be anything you want to be, you can live every lie you've ever imagined, you can tell everyone that you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, you can have pictures next to cars that don't belong to you, you can paint a picture of a life, you can portray whatever you want. Only you know what's going on in your head, so you can equate it down to health and fitness. If you're getting in shape and you aren't getting results, but you tell everyone you're eating well, you're training smart, only you know whether you're doing that. And I think that's the greatest driving factor, because at the end of the day, you can lie to everyone else, but it's only your life you're against. You're not in competition with anyone else, you're in competition with yourself. And if you don't put the work in, you don't achieve, you're only ultimately hurting yourself. And I think for me, that is a lesson that I always stand by. So if I ever catch myself moaning, if I catch myself whining, if I ever catch myself pointing fingers at other people, I ask myself first and foremost, could I be doing more? Is there things in my control? If the answer is yes, then it's my fault. And I've been lying to everyone else. And I think it's important as a man in particular, you know, if someone in my position who offers advice to others around mental health and performance, you know, you have to check in and go, you know, are you doing everything you can do? And only you know. And I think that moment before you go to bed where you put your phone down and the fantasy ends just before sleep is the most real moment you're going to have in your day. And, you know, you can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to yourself. And only you know. And if you know that you're not doing it, you've got to change it, or don't, and you won't achieve. My approach has always been forged out of a desire to be better every day. And one of the key tenets of that is to ask other people for feedback and to find mentors and to find people in the areas that you want to achieve that are doing better than you, and going out there and following them for inspiration, for motivation, and for advice. So, you know, as a sportsman, my sort of attitude was shaped by players that I admired and coaches that I admired. In music, it's been producers, it's been record label owners, it's been guys who have offered me advice. You know, in sort of podcasting world and business world, it's been finding different mentors, and I find different people in different areas and go and ask them. And I constantly evolve as well, because you look at people and sometimes they're experts in one area, but they have deficiencies. And I think the male ego is a real thing, and it's very easy to think you cracked it when actually nobody's got the answer. And if you think you've got the answers all nailed, then you're dogmatic and you've lost the plot already. You need to constantly evolve. So my mentors in some areas I have used and have helped me, but they've only got me so far, and I have to move on, and I have to look at myself first and foremost. And I think self-awareness is really important, to know who you work well with, who you don't, who's going to help you, and what you need to do as a person, and where your areas of deficiency are. And that is why I'm a voice of defiance.